Okay, so good evening, y'all. My name is Dawn Motkins. I'm the director of the Southern California Black Worker Hub. We are made up currently of 3 worker centers across LA County, San Diego County, and the San Bernardino and Riverside counties in San Diego, LA. And currently 2 other worker centers that are kind of in the incubation process in the high desert and in Long Beach. And so the hub, we are coordinating our Black worker power across this region, y'all. And so doing so by coordinating and organize and collaborating amongst all of the worker centers in Southern California and in all the various ways, right? And so part of the efforts of Black worker centers is to make sure that we're fighting and pushing and organizing and coordinate to secure access, right, to just jobs, just straight up bare access to work, family supportive careers, pathways to those good jobs, protections for those protections for all of us, right, as Black workers at work. And so those are some of the core things. Those are some of the core things that is the purpose of our work.
Next slide, please.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, right, we believe that that Black workers deserve health, safe, supportive workplaces, and part of that provision of health and wellness, we work closely. We're going to introduce some of our other partners. Oh, I'm sorry, our worker centers. I named our worker centers. Who else makes up the Southern California Black Worker Hub? It's Care at Work and Earth Lodge. But Earth Lodge deeply provides elements of wellness and healing with Black workers. They're with us on the call tonight. So if folks have any experiences where you're sharing something that you are extremely moved by, just know that we have folks on the call tonight that are here on standby to assist, either in a breakout room if you need it, stand by after the call, or we will absolutely connect you to Earth Lodge, who can provide additional wellness and healing support. We know that for generations, we've been excluded from economic advancement opportunities in the nation, frankly, right? And including right here in Southern California. And so we know that we're the ones that we've been waiting for. And together we can organize, advocate, demand, right? Coordinate around equity, accountability, and increase economic opportunity for Black workers, for ourselves, in order to achieve equitable access to meaningful, sustainable, and quality family supportive employment. So that is a little bit about who the Southern California Black Worker Hub is, and a little bit about why we're doing this tonight. What is CWOP 4.0? What is that? So CWOP stands for California Worker Outreach Program. And it started out as the COVID Worker Outreach Program when during the pandemic, right, our state, as did the country, knew that who they were calling essential workers, right? Essential workers, or just marginalized workers, folks who are often hardest to reach, who were struggling most during the pandemic. There were resources that were put into making sure there was intention to connect with those workers to make sure that folks were well and safe. And what folks learned through this statewide effort, right? There's a coalition of worker centers who worked on that. What folks learned was that folks were not only dealing with pandemic and COVID issues, but just straight up dealing with worker rights issues, right? Violations of workers' rights. And so as part of that process, there was effort to kind of convert this program to cover exactly that, just worker outreach around workers' rights. And so for the Southern California Hub and all of the our CWOP, right, California Work Outreach Project partners, we're coordinating this series over this entire year. Starting tonight is just the launch. You're going to receive an entire overview. And then each month, we're going to have a series of worker rights topics that you will hear about more in just a moment. from the Labor Commission, who is with us on the call tonight, from the Department of Industrial Relations, who is here on the call tonight. So you will receive all of their contact information. You will receive a resource guide with all of the right pathways towards connecting with the appropriate agencies, and we're happy to assist with that between us and your local worker centers, okay? And so there's a series of these sessions over this entire year through Black August. Y'all plan to be with us for Black August. The last session will be in October. Each month will be a different worker right topic, right? Bring all your folks from the various industries who you know might be impacted by that particular right. And we'll be highlighting us, right? We'll be highlighting workers from various industries, whether it's transportation, you work in tech or security or healthcare or wherever, right? And so invite your folks, and we will get into this every single month, the last Wednesdays at 6:30, and we'll remind us of these calls to action at the end of tonight's call. I think with that, I will wrap my introductory part about who the Southern California Worker Hub is, and a little bit about what CWOP is about. And I will pass this to Darren to get into a little bit of the weeds and how we're implementing this outreach project.
Thank you for the introductory, and thank you all for being here today. As Dawn said, I am the Hub Program Manager rolling out CWOP this year in collaboration and in coordination with all of our partners and all of our Black worker centers throughout the Southern California region. Can we go to the next slide, actually?
Hey, Darren, really quick, as you get into how we're implementing this, the partners who we just named, if you're on the call, can you come on screen, and maybe folks from Inland Empire, San Bernardino County, Riverside County, if you are on tonight, we want to just highlight you really quick, maybe just your name and your worker center.
Good evening, everyone. I am Etisha Hinton. I am the community organizer from the Inland Empire Black Worker Center. We want to welcome you to this meeting tonight. IE people, we are glad that you are joining us for this regional effort. And again, thank you everyone for joining, but IE especially. Thank you guys for coming out.
Just like IE in the house. Folks on from San Diego, we just want to shout out San Diego. If someone here just wants to rep San Diego, I'm not sure if Aaron or Brisa's on.
I'm not for sure. I don't see them. I'm scrolling through real quick.
Okay. High Desert.
I see some High Desert people, I think.
It could just be one person to just represent for High Desert.
Well, hi, I'm Juanita. I'm in Victorville. That is the High Desert.
Hey.
Hi, all.
We are going
Thank
to
you so much for holding this.
Yeah, we're going to hear back from Juanita later on. Earth Lodge is another CWOP partner. I know someone's here from Earth Lodge. Oh, I see you.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Yardina with the Earth Lodge. Have a couple of our team members and community members here on the call. I'm our board chair. We represent healing justice. We represent the right to wellness. We represent the right for Black people to be well at work. And all of our wellness and Black-centered indigenous nature-based modalities lend to making sure that we get to be whole and healthy, not just in the community, but at work, because it is a symbiotic connection. So we're happy to be a part of the Hub. We're happy to be on the board of the Hub, and we're happy to be a part of this effort representing healing justice for all Black workers.
Ashe. Care at work. Someone here from Care to break down a little bit about Care. Is Deja here? Andrea here. And if I don't see them at the moment, I'm going to come back to them. Dwayne, Courasia. Okay. And San Diego. Okay, I just wanted to take a moment just to acknowledge folks who are doing who are holding this outreach and education over this year. So just kudos to this team, and I'll give it back, Darren.
No, thank you. And thank everyone for the introductions. Just to reiterate real quick, so CWOP is being rolled out in coordination and collaboration with our Black Worker Centers and our respective partners. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been part of the building process thus far. Our intentions and our efforts, we're rolling out CWOP. We have 3 specific tactics that we're utilizing, and that's outreach, education, and engagement. And how we plan to utilize these tactics is through a worker series education that Don was speaking about earlier in the presentation. We're looking to host monthly worker series sessions, highlighting different workplace violations that we as Black people, probably have experienced at one point in our career or during our worker experience. And so we're doing this in collaboration also with state agency reps as well. So we will have our worker centers and our partners roll out this education and give them space to further expand their work and what they're doing. So you all probably are on here seeing some of your people, your IE people, and your SD folks. And so you will continue to see these people, but also be introduced to other worker centers and find out what they do in their respected areas of work as well. And so, where did I leave off? I'm sorry, y'all. In addition to the education series, we also want to highlight the different industries. This is for all Black workers, but there are specific industries that probably are targeted when we're talking about low-wage workers or people who were formerly incarcerated and things like that. So we want to make sure we have space to actually, highlight those different individuals of all different communities, but also just make space to highlight any industry, no matter who you are as a Black worker. And I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing anything, y'all.
No, you got it.
Okay, so in addition to the worker series education, everyone will be available and present to actually converse with the different worker centers, but also the respective state agency reps. And being mindful that we're going to be talking about such heavy topics like workplace violations, we know that that can be triggering and traumatizing for a lot of Black people to come into space and be vulnerable. So we mentioned Earth Lodge earlier, so they would definitely be a part of all of this education series that we'll be rolling out. And we're actually going to be having some conversation later on today, and we'll be making space to talk about different worker experiences in breakout groups. Can we go to the next slide? All righty. We still got some people coming in. So we're actually going to take a moment to review the questions. Excuse me. So we're going to have a discussion of what is your working while Black experience. So you'll be able to pick a topic with, you'll be able to pick one of these questions, 1 through 3 in this small discussion room with everyone. And if you feel comfortable, you can share in the space. We're going to ask that you all share and that you come back, and you don't have to tell anything specific that you heard from anyone, but a thing that stood out from you. We will stay back here in the main room space while we have some of our other members who are present on the call actually facilitate the breakout rooms.
Darren, can I add one little thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a part of the purpose of this, y'all, is that we are all from Southern California. We are all, many, right? We're fortunate to get to work amongst a group of, folks who are organizing around our Black work. But generally speaking, we're all, as Black people, experiencing some form of stuff in our various workplaces, like Felice was talking about at the top of the call. So we wanted to just create this opportunity for y'all to connect with each other, know that you are not alone in these various experiences. We know that they are real. And so, be authentic, be open, feel free and comfortable to connect with one another around those experiences. And if you can, answer all three of the questions, and just be prepared to share back a little bit if someone is willing. Maybe we might take one or two kind of report backs from the time, but connect with each other, build with each other in that space intentionally, purposefully.
Slide, please.
Yep. So Juanita.
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, Juanita.
Hi.
I'm so glad that you're with us tonight, and we're passing it to you now.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Juanita Fawcett. I am a Black mother, worker, woman. I have a very unique situation. I went through the Inland Empire Black Worker Center with the Water Apprenticeship Program, successfully completed it, and walked into this field with eyes wide open. Of the entire workforce, 2% are women, and less than that are women of color. So I was placed in a quaint little town called DeVore, where I experienced racism, discrimination, threats, wage theft, you name it. There was a town meeting at the water company where I was formally introduced, because even though I'm in a worker uniform with DeVore water on it, there were residents that thought I was burglarizing people's houses while I was reading the meters. I even had one woman tell me, yeah, that's why we're up here behind our fences, because we have guns. And this was her response from me asking her, did she know where her water meter was? So it's a very unique situation. I ended up receiving a work injury because my supervisor gave me a job that was really, it wasn't a job for one person. I'm not going to say it wasn't a job for a woman, but it wasn't a job for one person, and I should have been better equipped. But when you walk into certain spaces and you just kind of feel hate, the office manager told me, yeah, a few years ago, the Blacks weren't allowed up here. This is the type of environment that I was in. And without any support, or, I kept a detailed log, but one of the things that I was sharing in the breakout with another beautiful woman who worked in aerospace, she says she did human resource, but we need lawyers, we need organizations to help us. And always know I'm a child of God. I'm very spiritual, and one scripture stays with me. All good things work together for those who love the Lord, who are called according to his purpose. So even though we are going through the struggle, you don't even have to believe in my God. My God is bigger. You don't have to believe in him. He still has my back. And like 3 months after, now I'm going through a whole workman's comp situation, but 3 months after, I get a call from through my apprenticeship, one of the directors. Everyone at the water company has been fired. There's a whole corruption thing going on over there. And I was just like, thank you, God, for removing me before all of that even went on, even though I was dropping little tips of, well, this account isn't registered and these people are being overbilled. They didn't want to hear none of that. And I knew it was something strange. So I'm still here. I'm still pursuing my degree in water technology. And I don't know if I want to work for another small town, because one of the things I found out was I was going to take my case to the EEOC, but they deal with companies. I believe they told me it had to be like 25 employees or more. And we were a very small company. It was under 10 employees there. So learning and moving on, and just thank you guys, and be watchful and mindful. We have 2 ears. I listen more than talking when I'm in the work setting, because I really have to listen and process what people are saying and their intentions when they're talking to me.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Miss Juanita, I've having heard you share this before. Thank you for coming on and sharing it on this larger platform this evening. It's, you know, and just hearing it again, it's disheartening, right? Because we were catching this from so many different angles, right? Which is why, like, for us, wellness at work is critical. People talk about health and safety, right? This is the kind of health and safety against anti-Blackness that Black workers need, right? You know, disrupting anti-Blackness and discrimination is a form of health and safety that Black workers need. And so Simone is going to be up next and talk about.
The question is, why has this been allowed to go on?
It's not that it's allowed, it's that it happens, and we have to do the work to address it, right? To thwart it, to minimize it. We have to work with not only our Black and our non-Black family out here who can support addressing and stopping those things, right? And so telling these stories we want to do on a much larger scale. Simone and Melissa or Melissa is gonna talk about that now in terms of a docu-series that we're gonna be putting together this year. And those with stories, again, just drop your info in the chat and say if you have a big stories like this that you want to share. We'll be in communication with you about your participation in the docu-series. And then we're going to hear directly from some experts from these agencies, from the Department of Industrial Relations and the Labor Commission, who can talk about ways to address some of these things too. So we'll pass it over to Simone.
Thank you, Dawn. Hi, everyone. My name is Simone Frank. I'm the communications coordinator for the SoCal Black Worker Hub. And I support with a lot of like our emails and our social media, newsletter, other digital media, and also help support with building Black worker power with messaging. And I just want to say, thank you everyone for just joining this space and just allowing yourselves to be vulnerable while sharing your stories just now in the breakout groups. I just wanted to take a second for that because I know it's not really easy to be vulnerable, especially with just people you just met, but I'm hoping that through our project that I will talk a little bit more about along with Melissa to share, that we will be able to hear more of our stories just out in the world and not feel that we might be the only ones going through them. So yeah, anyway, so my colleague Melissa and I, we are working on a docuseries project and we are sort of in the midst of developing it. It's called #Echo Black Worker, Echo Black Voices Worker docuseries. And then that project is in collaboration with all of our regional Southern California Black Worker Centers. And so I want to also just pass it to Melissa to introduce herself and she'll go through the what and the when.
Cool, thank you. And I just invited folks to put in the chat if you have questions. I see hands are going up. Next slide. So we put in the chat a little bit of information and a link that Dawn alluded to. Through the power of storytelling, we're going to amplify Black voices through a film that we'd like to put together, a mini docuseries. So we are looking for folks to highlight who can tell some stories like some of you all have already shared or Miss Juanita shared. We're going to start filming in the spring and we'll be working in collaboration with the Black Worker Hubs that are local in the Southern California region, as well as with some of our other partners who are here with us today and that you may have seen their logos and heard their names and saw their links in the chat. We'll be working with a really cool creative film production team, and we'll be intertwining the education piece of workplace rights along with the storytelling. And we'll be addressing stories around anti-Blackness in the workplace, that working while Black experience, what's happening with the Black job crisis, with underemployment, unemployment, the lack of being able to be promoted, pathways, all of that. So the information's here on the chat. If you have your phone out, you can scan our QR code and you can visit us at the Echo Black Voices storytelling link. Just know that it's all case sensitive. We'll continue to share the link in the chat, and we'll share all of this opportunity with you on social media and an email as well afterward. So that's it. So please go ahead and click on that link if you're interested in sharing your story. You can share it today, you can share it tonight, tomorrow, and we hope that we can get to know you a little bit better and your stories. From here, I think we'd like to pass it on to one of our colleagues who's going to talk about this survey.
I think with the survey, the information regarding a survey is the fact that there will be a survey, a huge survey this year that is very detailed around gathering all of the details about our working while Black experiences currently across Southern California. So just know that that is coming. We will have, we want to have it fully ready before we put it out. So by our next month's education session, we'll likely have it for folks then. And so we can share it out at that time. So the information is just that a survey is coming. We want to capture this data. It is being hosted by our partner with CARE, CARE at Work. And so that's that information about it. And other ways, so the storytelling element that Melissa's referring to is for the docuseries, the video we're putting together. But there's also another way that we want to capture your potential claims. And I'm going to say potential because just because people are being evil and nasty and discriminatory at work doesn't always necessarily mean that it's a very clear or concrete violation of a law. And so we have a form, an intake form. Elda, is the form ready for, if we drop the link to the form in the chat before the end of the night, folks can begin to use that form? Is it ready enough for that?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so we have an intake form, everyone. We've created it for this purpose because we knew Felix and other folks that are having these experiences. It is a process to determine whether or not it's an actual violation. So we will drop a link to the chat. Please, this will also kind of a pilot form. Your information is there. We'll receive it, and we can reach back out to you and work with you on determining what the likelihood is and connect you to the appropriate agency. So that is one other way for us to capture these concrete experiences that folks are having. So I hope that provides an avenue, right? You're not just sharing that story in the conversation you just had, but this is the way to give it
Can
to
I just say,
Felix, we want to talk to you after. We're going to talk to you after. One of us is going to stay on with you to get your full story after, okay? And so the survey, and then, so now, yeah, our survey. So here we are. I was thinking there was something else.
Next slide, please.
Go ahead, Melissa.
We're good. Next slide. And if you wanted to invite Aaliyah up.
Oh yeah, thank you, Aaliyah. Aaliyah, if you want to just take one, even a hot minute, or Yardina, either one, a hot minute, just to show your face as the representatives of who are available to provide the healing support during the course of this project. If you want to say a word about that support that's available.
Definitely, and blessings and greetings to everyone. This is Aaliyah Javon from the Earth Lodge Center of Transformation. And we have a program that we have that says work shouldn't have to hurt, and it shouldn't. You should feel good going into a place that you give 80%, sometimes 90% of your daily life to. And so what we have incorporated are self-care practices that you can incorporate for yourself on a daily basis. It's like a worker's toolkit, okay? Things that you can take, different methods of how you can de-stress yourself. We offer classes, drumming. We offer different types of healing workshops. We're located in Southern California, the Long Beach district. We have a community garden. You can come down. You can, put some of those feelings into the soil. I'll also be dropping our emails into the chat. If you would like to, if you need some type of wellness, you need someone to talk to, someone to talk with, a little more personal than you might get with your worker counselor. More transparency can be offered with us, through us, and we look forward to it because the Black worker experience should be phenomenal, as we are magnificent. So we want you to feel empowered. And a lot of us don't even know that we have rights. And I know when we spoke in the smaller groups, the focus was that you don't want to lose your job. So you may be afraid to speak out. So we want to give you that voice. And with these organizations, you can align with us and know that someone has your back, your front, and your side. So just thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Aaliyah, for providing this space and for all the work that y'all do. Y'all, we're gonna transition to hear from representatives from Department of Industrial Relations, DIR, and from the Labor Commission to talk about wage and hour violations, retaliation, discrimination, all of these topics. Okay, we want you to meet the representative. We want you to know that we have a through line to them. We also want to remind you that tonight is an overview. Tonight is a launch to what we're kicking off this entire year, right? We're kicking this off next month where we're diving more fully into the weeds of all of these rights. You have an intake form to share your story. The link will be there. Complete that if you're feeling that burning sensation to get it out. And so know it's being captured, but tonight is the overview. So we're gonna present on what some of the worker rights are in the departments that can support with violations of those rights. So I'm gonna pass this over either to the Labor Commission or the representative for DIR. Who would like to take this from the top first? And we have about 15 to 20 minutes to cover each of these areas. I should say all of the areas, my bad. I should say all of the areas. So however y'all want to break that up.
Hi, Dawn. This is Jennifer. So nice for us to be here. I'm Jennifer Lim. I'm the Deputy Director for Department of Industrial Relations, Office of External Affairs, and we administrate the CWOP program. So we are just excited that you all are kicking this off, and I'm so excited about your docuseries and getting the messages out into the communities through your center. So I appreciate all your hard work and the excitement that this is building, and also of the stories that you are bringing to us, and also the alarming issues that are surfacing. So knowing that we have a number of people here on the call that can provide some technical assistance for all of those issues that you cited. So I just wanted to introduce a colleague you probably don't need introductions for, but the Labor Commissioner herself is here, and that's Lilia Garcia Brower. And I would like to give her the floor to talk about what her office does and the resources that they have available. The next speaker could be from somebody from Cal OSHA, and I know Brandon Hart's here and his community outreach team. And we also have George Parasotto from the Division of the Workers' Compensation area. And he is a wealth of knowledge for folks that have issues of injury or illness situations. So again, Dawn said this is just the very surface. And later, as we go into programming, we'll go deep into those subjects. But I'd like to invite Lilia to the table here to talk about what she does.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good evening, everybody. And so great to see the team members from the Black Worker Hub. And great to see workers members of the public who are participating in today's virtual event. So my agency is the primary workplace enforcement agency in the state. We have 19 different offices. We have an office in Los Angeles, Riverside, San Bernardino, San Diego, Van Nuys, Long Beach, and Santa Ana. And so we enforce wage and hours laws like minimum wage, paid sick days, being paid on time when you're released or when you quit, meal and rest breaks. These are some of the more common violations. We also enforce work retaliation. And so, to Juanita, I didn't hear all of your story. And also to Debbie, thank you for sharing the indication in the chat about the retaliation you experienced at work. And we evaluate those retaliation cases when workers are fired after exercising a protected right that they have. So complaining about overtime, about not being paid properly, 6 days, etc. And we do all kinds of other things, but those are, I think, two of the primary big roles that we have that impact your life every day. And so my office is making a particular effort. We're right now meeting with local Black leaders to understand what are the experiences Black workers are having and to identify new tools and strategies that we can develop to reach Black workers, because we know that Black workers confront institutional racism every day. And we know that we haven't been meeting your needs. And it is important for us to get out in the community and meet you where you are. So that's what I'm interested in following up with the Black leaders in this hub to identify trainings that we could provide on weeknights, on weekends. We're going to start participating in a Black radio show. We need to develop material that has Black representation. And I want to hear other tools and strategies and ideas that you have. And any worker who is on tonight, I will put my information on the chat and we could review the situation that you're experiencing. But I also want to let people know that we are hiring. And so we have hundreds of jobs throughout the state that we're looking to fill, from entry-level office technicians to full-fledged investigators. So I welcome you to consider bring your life experience to the Labor Commissioner's office. We need your voice, and it's one way for you to heal and also help make other people whole in a day-to-day work in defending working people. So thank you so much, and I pass it over to George.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lilia, and I certainly echo many of your sentiments. And absolutely, if people are interested in working for the Department of Industrial Relations, please apply, because we certainly need dedicated, passionate people. My name is George Parasotto, and I'm the Administrative Director of the Division of Workers' Compensation. What do? Well, we monitor the administration of workers' compensation claims in the state. There's probably about 650,000 claims that are filed each year. And through our district offices, our judges, we try to resolve disputes that arise in connection with these claims. Our ultimate mission is to try to minimize the adverse impacts of work injuries, not only to injured workers, but also to employers. It really does no good when people are out of work. The division, we're the largest division in DIR. We have approximately 1,000 employees, 24 district offices up and down the state, from Eureka to San Diego, with our headquarters being in Oakland. Now, I said monitor the administration of workers' compensation claims, and people are like, well, what does that mean? What we want to do is make sure that employers and their insurance companies, those entities that are actually monitoring or actually administering these workers' compensation claims, that they're meeting their legal obligations. One, to provide necessary medical treatment to injured workers. Also, to pay lost wages, that's temporary and permanent disability for time off work. that's due to an occupational injury, and also properly notifying injured workers of their rights and benefits under law. Our district offices, as I mentioned, we have them up and down the state. We're a major part of the system. It's a court system. Now, for better or worse, workers' compensation has taken on an adversarial system where it's always like employees versus employers. But what we want to do is make sure through our judges that we assist in the prompt and fair resolution of claims that arise from these disputes. Our district offices, and this is important, we also have information and assistance officers. Their primary duty is to help injured workers who do not have attorneys to navigate the workers' compensation system. I will say our system, workers' compensation, it can be incredibly complicated at times. And it's important that information, is disseminated in a way that's as accurate as possible, to our incredibly diverse workforce. And while we have information and assistance officers to provide guidance, and while we also have a website that has information, and also now a dedicated outreach staff. And I will note that I'm joined today by Oscar Gamino Rojas, who is now a manager of our training and outreach division. And I'm really thankful he's here, and I'm really looking forward to working with him to getting our information out. Besides that, we need our community-based organizations, to spread our message, among the community so that every worker can understand and be knowledgeable of their workplace rights. And I certainly look forward to working together with everyone here. And please, if you have any questions or information, certainly let us know. We want to hear that. We have an audit unit that would take in complaints. If you have complaints about the treatment you're receiving, if you have complaints about the insurance company that's paying you benefits, we need to hear about this. And we do have complaint forms that can be found on our website, and we'll make sure this information is given to you where you can give us this. So thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. And I think we should turn this over to Brandon.
Thanks, George. I want to thank everyone for having us here this evening. It's really a pleasure for us to participate in this event and hear these stories firsthand. It's not something that I get to hear often, particularly in my current position. I did previously when I worked in enforcement. I can tell you that Cal OSHA exists to protect workers, first and foremost. Our job is to seek out bad actors in the industry and ensure that employees go home healthy and safe the way that they showed up at work. The division, primarily known as Cal OSHA, we write particular regulations and enforce those, and also levy severe penalties upon employers who fail to perform their obligated responsibilities, which are to protect workers in the workplace as a result of their employment. We do have over 25 enforcement district offices throughout the state that are in 6 different regions. Employees are allowed to file a confidential complaint with the Cal OSHA division district office, free from fear of retaliation. Labor commissioner's here, she spoke tonight. If we find out that an employee has been retaliated against as part of their Cal OSHA inspection, it gets referred to her office and they investigate it. Employees have rights in California. Unfortunately, not all exercise those rights. Few and far between employees who are often taken advantage of the most are fearful of filing complaints with the division. And we hope that in this space, you guys feel comfortable. You can share your concerns with us. As the labor commissioner mentioned, we're going to put our information in the chat as well. If you feel as though that you've gone to a workplace or you've been subjected to workplace hazards and you brought those concerns to your supervisor or your employer and they're not making any corrections as a result of that, then we want you to let us know, because that's our responsibility to go out there and conduct those workplace inspections. We have several offices throughout the state, as I mentioned. We also have a consultation services branch that helps employers with their obligations and comply with the current requirements. I oversee our communications, our publications, our internal training, and we draft educational materials and resources. We create training videos. So I'm really excited to hear about what you guys are trying to create. We like to partner and collaborate with organizations, and I can tell you quite frankly, I'm interested in collaborating with you directly to see if we can maybe co-create or create some content together as a way to show our support for your community, for the folks that you guys are representing and also those, that are here tonight. So anyways, Cal OSHA, there's a lot that we can do. There's much more that we can share with you. I'm going to drop some links into the chat, share with you some helpful resources about how to file complaints, how to connect with us, and also, our information in case you want some of those educational resources and materials. But I just want you all to know that we're here to support your guys' efforts, your goals. You're part of CWOP, and we certainly want to be a part of your guys' ongoing community efforts, your ongoing conversations, and would like to just extend our hand to you and encourage you to reach out to Cal OSHA if you feel that either you've been a victim of workplace violations as a result of being exposed to an unsafe work condition or health hazard, or if you know somebody who has. And with that, I will go ahead and turn it back over to Jennifer Lim, the Deputy Director, to see if she wants to share it with anybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. I think that we have, an open space, in the chat or after for other questions. And if you've been looking at the chat, we've really just dumped in a lot of resources for each of the divisions, as well as our hiring opportunities. And this isn't the last time you're going to see us here at these meetings. So, we are, direct partners with Dawn and the affiliated centers. So we've got a number of opportunities to connect and share and listen and help guide folks into, a better space. So, Dawn, if there's anything else that we can provide, let us know, and we can go on with the other agenda items.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my view together here. Let's see. This has been great. There's been a lot of information you all just shared this evening. Some folks may have been aware of some of these departments or some of the resources or levels of assistance that you all offer. And for many, this might have been the first time hearing that these types of resources are even available. Can you drop a 1 in the chat? Can you drop a 1 if this is your first time hearing about this kind of support, departmental or agency support being available? Drop a 1 in the chat if this is your first time hearing that these kinds of resources have been available to us. Just a quick 1. And while folks drop the 1 in the chat, if this is your first time hearing about these kinds of resources, and then drop a 2 if it's not your first time. Give us a 2 if you were familiar with this, but it was really helpful getting the refresher of what's available, right? And so while folks drop that, we do have a couple of minutes for some Q&A. We want folks to drop your questions in the chat, please, because I know there might be a lot and we only have a couple minutes. And I saw some recurring theme of some comments and questions in there around, in terms of support and addressing levels of health and safety, right? The implicit biases, someone's mentioned the words they use, I'd have to scroll up a little bit, was like psychological safety, the impact, the level of, and I should probably let Yardina ask this more clearly, because folks with the Earth Lodge do this work closely with people who are impacted by anti-Blackness in the workplace, because it's difficult, right? You're already dealing with whatever the regular workplace issues are. And if you try to address the anti-Blackness or discriminatory behaviors, whether being passed up for promotion, less pay than your counterparts. And one of our groups, they do work with early childhood educators, and they're all Black, and compared to their non-Black counterparts, both white, Latino, others, they make $1.70 less on average than their counterparts. And these are our early childhood educators. And this is across the state, right? And so when they see work like wage and hour or other workplace related challenges and know that and know through whatever their research has been that for the most part, it is levels of anti-Blackness or discriminatory or some form of discriminatory practice, right? Do either of the agencies have things in place for that, right? I know there's the EEOC, but with EEOC, we know that most of those cases get kicked back. You have to have such hard evidence, right, in order for a claim to actually be taken. It is extremely difficult to prove some of the discriminatory cases. So I'm thinking specifically, and I'll wrap this up, I'm thinking specifically around safety, right? For folks to feel safe at work and not, deal with retaliation, whether by colleagues or employers when they're having to face these forms of discrimination. So I will kick the Q&A off with that. It looked like a recurring theme. We've been hearing a lot about that. And Yardina, I don't know if you want to elaborate any more on that question, but if there's anyone who wants to answer that from a safety perspective.
Next slide, please.
Thanks for that, Brandon. Yardina. Sorry, Lilia.
Yardina. Is Yardina coming on?
Let's see.
There is one thing that I would, yes, there is one thing that I'd like to mention in addition to some of Don's share that I feel very passionate about. We know that just as we're exiting Black History Month, at the Earth Lodge, we spell it Black HX to make sure that it's all inclusive of all genders and all sexualities. We're about to enter Women's History Month as well. And I don't know if the commissioner still sits on the Women's Commission, but in terms of speaking about equality around pay, there's a story not only to tell with the Labor Commissioner's office, but there's a story to tell as well, as you're sharing, Dawn, with the Equality Commission, because these are the stories that we need as all of the agencies begin to and continue to address equity, DI policies, diversity and equity and inclusion, to make sure that this voice resonates throughout all agencies, especially where we have allies, in order to push forth in an exponential way the debate around and the access to resources around trauma transformation. Because as I was sharing in our breakout group, most of the people who cross the threshold at the Earth Lodge have experienced a trauma. That's why you see in our full name, trauma, because of the transformation thereof. And because of that, being able to be well at work as well as the community is part of the mandate of our Well at Work project, Work Shouldn't Hurt. And so we are interested in to continue to partner with research. We know that out of the survey, Essential Stories, over 70% of the workers who were surveyed said that having wellness and self-care tools to be able to mitigate the isms that they're experiencing at work was a number one concern for them. So what is that telling us? Workers are taking it upon themselves. So why are all of us on the call? Why are we seeing the proliferation of Black worker centers? We know that the worker center movement is long and strong, for many of them decades long. But why are we seeing an exponential growth in Black worker centers? Well, it is because, in my opinion, partnering with Black worker centers, calling for healing justice, demanding that there be wellness at work so that we can have a different future, not just for ourselves, but for our children. And so most of us on the call are parents, grandparents, caregivers. You might see 50 on the call, but we know that we're representing probably 500 people. So Don, thank you again for highlighting the need for not just justice and economic justice, but that healing justice, addressing the trauma, especially given the legacy of slavery in this particular country, chattel slavery, of which we know there's a strong reparations movement growing with the state of California as well. There's a dovetailing of events that is happening to help amplify the needs of Black workers around this state. And we're happy to be a part of that. Thank you, Don, for inviting me to say a few words.
Yeah, thanks, Yardina. Sister Lilia.
So powerful, Yardina. Thank you. I want to add that and just acknowledge that there's so many life experiences that happen at work that the law does not reach. There's a lot of gaps, right? And so that's a reality that we are needing to acknowledge and get to talking about how does one defend themselves at work? And George indicated some of that in the workers' comp field, and there was comments about safety. Physical safety and mental, psychological safety at work. And there are protections, as Brandon indicated, for individuals to refuse to work when there is imminent harm that they potentially can experience. And if your employer retaliates against you, if you exercise that right to a safe workplace and your employer cuts your hours or fires you or takes any other negative action against you, you do have retaliation protections that my office investigates. The best thing to do at work is to document. Debbie, and I'm chatting with her in the text, in the chat, to set up time to further evaluate her situation. And so I don't mean to be deaf to the injustice that is often experienced, but we do operate in a legal system. And we know that this legal system was not built for us. We know that the legal system has been made to stretch and bend to meet the reality of working people's needs, given the history of this country that's already been acknowledged. So I just want to lift that up, even though it's not something we want to focus on, but it is so important to not abandon our power at work by documenting what happens and coming together as a community, as co-workers, to be witnesses for each other. So when the boss denies the injustice that you're speaking to, you have solid evident testimony to corroborate your information. And we can elaborate more and share more about that. But documenting your experiences is so important. And I look to having trainings, in-depth trainings where we could go into the wage and hour rights. And I know there was also, Yardina mentioned about equal pay. Right? So we know that there needs to be equal pay for equal work. So when you do substantially, you have a white professional doing substantially the same work as a Black professional, but they're not paid the same. That is potential violation that we can look into. You have a woman performing substantially the same job as a man and not being paid the same. That is something that we could look into with the Equal Pay Act. So thank you so much, everybody. And I welcome additional questions in the chat, and I'll put my email and contact information.
Thank you for that. And for naming, thank you for let me if folks can use your emojis, put a little hand clap in the chat, put a little heart, use something to just signify our appreciation for this wealth of information tonight. We stated this would be an overview. This is what it's been. We are getting into all the weeds every last Wednesday of the month. I'm gonna pass it to Elda. Again, we dropped a link to the intake form, right? So your stories are not going unheard. Your experiences, your need to connect with these agencies. We hope you captured all the emails you needed. You are in direct communication with us. We can support that connection to the agencies if you need it. Complete the intake form, and we will be in touch, right? And if you need healing support, Earthwise is here. All the things are here. This was only an overview. Be with us next Wednesday. We're preparing to close, so I'm going to pass this over to Elda. Let's receive these final words, and then we will see y'all next Wednesday and talk to some of you on the phone or maybe in person before then. It's all yours, Elda.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Elda Solomon. I'm the Hub's policy manager, she, her pronouns. We really hope that you found all of the resources and conversations and information to be helpful tonight. We know there never feels like there's enough time, but Do not fret, because we will be here every last Wednesday of the month with our monthly virtual Echo Black Voices events. So all of the dates and information will be updated online and via social media and at the registration link that you use to register for this event. So we hope that you'll join us every month as we continue these efforts to echo Black voices. Please do follow up with the experts that we have in our call today. I know we've bombarded folks with lots of resources, but we are looking forward to sharing those with you all. So again, please don't fret, but taking advantage of the experts we have with us today, reach out to us if you need support. And if you need support with healing, we also have the Earth Lodge and folks from the Earth Lodge here on our call. So get tapped in. We know healing and wellness is such a big part of this work. Black August is also something that we have coming up this summer. So plan to spend Black August with us. Please follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, all the things, Twitter, Instagram. Please follow us and please come back for more. So again, it was great to meet you all, speak with you all. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you on Wednesdays. Thank you, Juanita. See group chat. All right, everyone. Good night. Be safe. Please follow us, and here's a QR code for that too. Thank you, Taylor.